No one expected fear to arrive without a sound. Above the neutral capital world of the Galactic Council, space folded inward. Not violently, not loudly. It simply opened. A shape emerged. At first, sensors refused to accept it. The readings contradicted themselves, flashing errors across every screen. The object was too large to be real, yet too solid to be a distortion. Then the alarms began. The object was a ship, not a fleet, not an armada. A single ship. It hung in space like a black continent, longer than most cities, wider than orbital rings. Its surface was smooth and dark, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. No visible weapons. No engine flare. No insignia. Just presence. Council delegates from hundreds of species stared at the projection in silence. Some had lived for thousands of years. Some had commanded wars that burned star systems. Yet none of them spoke. Because the ship had appeared where Earth's envoys were supposed to arrive. Humanity had been invited, formally, politely, to return to galactic politics after more than a century of absence. The Council expected diplomats. Old flags. Carefully chosen words. Not this. A senior analyst broke the silence. There is no known drive signature, she said, her voice shaking. It did not use hyperspace. It did not use gates. It simply arrived. Military sensors reached out, probing the vessel. They received nothing back. No energy leaks. No power curve. No readable hull composition. It was as if the ship decided what reality was allowed to see. A council elder leaned forward. His species had ruled stars before humans discovered fire. Open a channel, he ordered. This must be some kind of mistake. The transmission was sent in every known language. Peaceful. Respectful. There was no reply. Seconds passed. Then minutes. The ship did not move. It did not rotate. It did not react. Yet the feeling spread through the chamber, an ancient instinct shared even by species without a concept of fear. They were being observed. A fleet commander scoffed, trying to restore confidence. It is one ship, she said. Humanity was never known for restraint, but this is theater. A show of pride. Nothing more. She ordered long-range scans. The moment the scanners focused fully on the ship, every screen went dark. Not exploded. Not damaged. Disabled. Across the entire star system, defense grids shut down. Orbital cannons lost power. Shield generators went silent. War fleets drifted helplessly as command systems reset endlessly. No attack had been detected. No energy spike. No warning. Panic spread through the chamber. This is impossible, someone whispered. The ship still had not fired, still had not spoken, still had not moved. And yet, the system was defenseless. A junior delegate pulled up ancient archives, desperate for context. Humans were classified as mid-tier, he said. Aggressive, creative, unstable. Dangerous only to themselves. Another delegate laughed nervously. They fought wars with chemical fire and kinetic slugs. They argued in public forums. They were loud. The laughter died quickly. Because none of that matched the thing hanging above their world. At last, the ship transmitted. Not an image. Not a symbol. Just words. They appeared simultaneously on every display, translated perfectly into every language. This is not a visit. The chamber erupted. Military leaders shouted orders that could not be carried out. Diplomats demanded explanations. Elders argued over protocol that suddenly felt meaningless. This is a threat, one voice cried. No, another answered quietly. It is a statement. As if responding, the ship finally moved. Slowly, deliberately. It rotated just enough for its bow to face the capital world. Every remaining sensor screamed. Weapon systems that did not exist a moment ago unfolded from the ship's surface, elegant and terrifying. Not crude cannons. Not missile ports. Structures that bent space around them. Time itself seemed to hesitate. A final transmission followed, colder than the void. Humanity did not forget. No demands were made. No countdown was given. The ship waited. And for the first time in recorded galactic history, the Council understood a terrible truth. Earth had not sent envoys. They had sent a message. And whatever came next would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber had survived 3 supernova shocks, 2 civil wars, and 1 attempted coup by an immortal machine mind. It had never known silence like this. No one spoke because no one knew what words still mattered. Above the capital world, the human warship waited. It did not advance. It did not retreat. It simply existed, like a verdict not yet spoken. Inside the chamber, emergency lights cast long shadows across faces that had not felt fear in centuries. Delegates whispered in private channels, old rivals sharing panic like a secret disease. Humanity. The name felt wrong now. A council historian finally broke protocol and activated the deep archives. If humans had changed this much, then the past needed to be understood again, accurately, not comfortably. Homo sapiens, the historian began, her voice echoing. A young species. Loud. Divided. Emotion-driven. Known for internal conflict. Images appeared. Early human ships, rough and inefficient. Colonies held together by stubbornness instead of technology. Wars broadcast openly, almost proudly. They advanced quickly, she continued, but recklessly. They relied on adaptability rather than refinement. Many council races believed they would destroy themselves. A military delegate snorted. And now they send this. One ship. Confidence tried to return, thin and forced. Yes, another commander added. One ship does not make an empire, no matter how advanced. That was when the censor officer spoke again, quieter than before. There is something wrong, she said. The ship's mass, it keeps changing. The chamber stilled. Explain, an elder demanded. It is constant when observed, the officer replied. But when we look away, the calculations shift, as if the ship exists partially outside our frame of reference. A murmur spread. Like a stealth field? Someone asked. No, she answered. Like a choice. That word lingered. Outside, trapped fleets drifted powerless. Thousands of warships, symbols of galactic dominance, reduced to metal coffins waiting for permission to act. A junior commander, desperate to reclaim authority, made a decision that history would later curse. We cannot show weakness, she said. This is intimidation. Nothing more. Prepare a limited strike. Several delegates objected, but fear often speaks louder than wisdom. A single cruiser, ancient but proud, was given manual authorization. Its crew bypassed disabled systems, rerouting power through outdated analog controls. Technology so old it predated most modern interference. The cruiser fired. A beam of concentrated energy crossed the void and struck the human ship directly. Nothing happened. No explosion. No deflection. No reaction at all. The beam vanished, absorbed so completely it might never have existed. The cruiser's captain exhaled in relief. You see, she said. It can be. She never finished. Space around the human ship twisted, not violently, but precisely. A ripple expanded outward, invisible until it passed through matter. The cruiser froze. Its engines died mid-thrust. Its weapons locked in place. Even its internal lights dimmed to a pale glow. The ripple continued. It passed through the trapped fleets. One by one, every warship lost power, not destroyed, not damaged. Just stopped. Crews remained alive, breathing, aware. Helpless. The ripple faded. The human ship returned to stillness. No follow-up attack came. In the council chamber, someone began to laugh. It was high-pitched and hysterical, and it did not stop until security escorts removed the delegate. They could have killed us, an elder whispered. Why didn't they? As if answering the question, a transmission appeared. This time, it was longer. We do not strike first. We strike last. The words carried weight, not volume. The historian swallowed. This matches nothing in human doctrine, she said. They were impulsive, emotional. They acted quickly. People change, another delegate muttered. No, the historian corrected. Species change only when forced. A chilling realization spread. Humanity had not grown powerful in peace. They had grown powerful because something had tried to break them. Outside, the human ship adjusted its orientation slightly, not toward the planet, but toward the system's star. Astrophysicists screamed warnings as readings spiked. It is not attacking the star, one shouted. It's measuring it. Measuring for what? The answer arrived before the question settled. You built your empires on our absence. Delegates recoiled. Old treaties flickered across screens. Forgotten clauses. Classified operations. Black projects buried so deep they were considered myths. A senior council member, one of the oldest, felt something close to shame. Humans withdrew voluntarily, he said weakly. They chose isolation. The human ship responded instantly. That is the story you kept. The chamber shook, not physically, but emotionally. Because deep down, many of them knew. Human space had once bordered experimental zones. Human colonies had gone silent during routine tests. Rescue requests had been delayed, then dismissed. Humanity had been inconvenient. So the galaxy had looked away. A military analyst leaned forward, her voice barely steady. "This ship," she said, "it is not optimized for battle." Confusion followed. "Explain." "It is optimized for control," the analyst continued. "It neutralizes without escalation. It disables without chaos. It forces its enemy to listen." A pause. "It is a warship built by someone who learned patience the hard way." The implication was terrifying. Humanity had not come to win a war. They had come to end an era. The ship sent one final message for this moment. Short, deliberate, impossible to ignore. "You will remember US. Or you will learn why you should have." The transmission ended. The ship did not move. But now no one doubted it could. And across the galaxy, alarms began to ring, not from attacks, but from archives unlocking themselves, secrets surfacing, and long-buried crimes waking from their graves. Because humanity had returned. And the galaxy was no longer prepared for the truth. The first system to break was not near the Council. It was far away, quiet, and forgotten. On the edge of known space, a mining world named Kairos drifted around a dying blue star. It was owned by an ancient consortium, one of the oldest powers in the galaxy. Officially, Kairos produced rare metals. Unofficially, it was where records disappeared. When alarms activated on Kairos, no one panicked. They never did. The sensors reported a distortion, familiar, harmless, routine. A misread. A glitch. The kind that happened when old stars shed radiation. Then the sky bent. Workers stopped mid-step as the stars above twisted like liquid glass. A vast shadow unfolded from nowhere, eclipsing the light without blocking it. The human warship had arrived. There was no warning sent. No challenge issued. No demand made. Kairos' planetary defenses activated automatically and immediately shut down. Command bunkers lost power. Emergency relays failed. Even the planet's AI overseer went silent, frozen in a loop it could not escape. On the surface, millions looked up. They felt it before they understood it. The sensation was not fear. It was recognition. Deep in the planet's core, sealed behind layers of classified clearance, data vaults unlocked themselves. Files long erased reappeared. Logs rewritten by unknown hands restored to their original form. Human colony designations. Experiment IDs. Casualty projections. Kairos was not a mine. It was a grave. Back at the Galactic Council, chaos erupted as alerts flooded every channel. Kairos has gone dark. No weapons fire detected. We've lost telemetry. Wait. No. Telemetry is being overwritten. Delegates shouted over each other. Military commanders demanded permission to respond, but there was nothing to target. The human warship still hung above the capital world, unmoving. Yet it was acting. Quantum link deployment, a strategist whispered in horror. The ship isn't alone. A council elder slammed his staff against the floor. Impossible. No civilization can maintain that scale of coordination. The elder was very old. He had not considered what desperation could teach. On Kairos, the human ship transmitted at last. This time, it showed images. Not threats. Not weapons. Memories. Footage of human settlers. Families. Recorded centuries ago. Children running through low-gravity corridors. Scientists celebrating a new biosphere breakthrough. A woman laughing as artificial sunlight warmed her face. Then the footage cut. Sirens. Shaking corridors. Panicked voices speaking in human tongues. Containment breach. This was not approved. The image froze. The human ship's voice was calm, measured, almost gentle. "This world holds the truth you buried." In the council chamber, no one spoke. They all knew Kairos' name. They had approved the funding, signed the secrecy orders, deleted the reports. Human lives had been numbers, test variables, acceptable losses. The ship continued. "We have counted them. Every name, every silence." On Kairos, the ground trembled, not from destruction, but from exposure. Massive data pylons rose from beneath the surface, tearing through stone and steel. They projected the truth into orbit, broadcasting on every frequency. Human suffering became impossible to ignore. Council worlds received the feed whether they wanted it or not. Civilian populations watched in horror as centuries of lies unraveled. "This is psychological warfare," a general shouted. "They're destabilizing us." "No," the historian said quietly. "They're testifying." A junior delegate trembled. "Are they going to destroy the planet?" As if answering, the ship fired. There was no beam, no explosion. Instead, a wave of light passed through Kairos, precise and absolute. When it faded, the planet remained. The city stood. The atmosphere held. The people lived. But the consortium's control vanished. Every executive, every overseer, every scientist tied to the crimes collapsed unconscious at once. Their neural implants, once symbols of privilege, had shut down permanently. They would never command again. They would wake as civilians. Equal. Accountable. Mortal. The human ship transmitted one final message to Kairos. "This is mercy. Do not confuse it for weakness." Then it vanished. Across the galaxy, shock rippled outward faster than any fleet. The message was clear now. Humanity was not here to conquer territory. They were here to rewrite consequences. In the council chamber, fear gave way to something worse, understanding. "They are choosing their targets," a strategist said. "Carefully. Selectively." A military commander clenched her fists. "Then we strike before they strike us all." "With what?" someone asked bitterly. "Our fleets can't move." As if summoned by the thought, a new transmission appeared. Not from the warship. From Earth. For the first time in over a century, the human homeworld broadcast openly. The image was simple. A blue planet, scarred but alive. Cities rebuilt in layers. Oceans regulated by artificial currents. Orbital rings humming with restrained power. And a single line of text. "Earth stands." The impact was immediate. Old myths shattered. Humanity had not barely survived. They had endured, adapted, and prepared. The council elder who had once defended the old story lowered his gaze. "We believed they were isolated," he said. "That they were afraid." The historian shook her head. "No, they were learning." Suddenly, the human warship above the capital world moved again. This time, it did not aim weapons. It opened itself. Panels shifted, revealing internal structures. Vast chambers filled with light and data. Entire civilizations' worth of knowledge flowed through it. A diplomat gasped. "It's carrying archives." "Evidence," another corrected. The ship transmitted to the council directly. "This was the first. There are many more." A pause. "You will not stop us. You will not hide." The words settled like a sentence. Not of death, of truth. Outside the chamber, citizens across the capital world looked up at the silent ship with new eyes. Not as an invader, but as something far more dangerous. A witness. And as the galaxy reeled from the first judgment, one question echoed everywhere. If this was mercy, what would justice look like? The galaxy did not sleep. Across thousands of worlds, civilians gathered around screens that had never shown truth before. Old broadcasts were replayed. New data flooded networks faster than sensors could block them. Names once erased now returned, carried on human signals that no firewall could stop. Humanity had not attacked again. That was what terrified everyone. Because every moment of silence meant another secret uncovered, another crime exposed, another pillar of galactic order cracking from within. In the Galactic Council chamber, emergency authority dissolved into chaos. Delegates argued openly, no longer pretending unity. "This is extortion," one shouted. "It is justice," another replied. "It is the same thing," came the answer. A senior military commander slammed her fist onto the table. "Enough. We need to understand how they are doing this. One ship cannot police the galaxy." A strategist answered slowly, carefully. "It can if it isn't alone." That thought spread like poison. Deep scans revealed something disturbing. The human warship was no longer just in one place. Tiny distortions, barely detectable, appeared across multiple star systems. Not ships, not probes, anchors. Human technology had moved beyond travel. They were present. A council scientist spoke, his voice hollow. "They have solved spatial persistence. The ship exists across multiple locations at once. Damage, distance, and time are optional." An elder whispered an old warning from before his kind had ruled stars. When prey learns patience, the hunter must prey. The council demanded direct negotiation. For the first time, the human warship responded with more than words. A figure appeared, not armored, Not elevated. Just human. The captain stood in a simple command chamber. Gray streaked his hair. His uniform held no medals, no symbols of rank beyond a single mark on the collar, one the galaxy did not recognize. He did not smile. He did not scowl. He looked tired. "This session is limited," the captain said evenly. "We will speak once." A dozen delegates tried to talk at once. The captain raised one hand. The room fell silent. "You have questions," he said. "But first, you need context." With a gesture, the chamber changed. The walls dissolved into moving images. Human history unfolded, not the loud, chaotic version the galaxy remembered, but the quiet years after withdrawal. Earth burning its old systems to the ground. Governments dissolving under failure. Borders erased by necessity. Humanity had not united through idealism. They had united because survival demanded it. The images continued. Human colonies destroyed by unknown weapons. Medical ships turned away from Council space. Rescue signals unanswered. Then came the turning point. A child's voice echoed through the chamber, pulled from an old recording. "Why won't they help us?" The image froze. The captain spoke again. "That question ended who we were," he said, "and created what you see now." The visuals shifted. Human science changed direction, not toward comfort or speed, but certainty. Redundancy replaced efficiency. Systems were built to survive betrayal. Artificial intelligence was stripped of autonomy and redesigned as witness systems, incapable of lying, incapable of forgetting. Human weapons were abandoned for something else. Control. "We learned something important," the captain continued. "Killing your enemy is easy. Ending their ability to repeat their crimes is hard." A council general interrupted. "So you became executioners?" The captain looked directly at her. "No," he said. "We became accountants." The word landed heavily. The images shifted again. Humanity mining dead stars. Building inside gravity wells others considered impossible. Learning to manipulate probability instead of force. Every breakthrough was shaped by one rule. Never again be helpless. "We did not build an empire," the captain said. "We built an answer." Another delegate stood. "Then why now? Why return after all this time?" The captain paused. "For the same reason we left," he said. "You never stopped." Silence followed. The captain continued, his voice steady. "You believed humanity was gone, forgotten, that our suffering had no witnesses." He gestured, and the image expanded, showing countless human names, filling the chamber like stars. "We remembered everything," he said, "and we waited until remembering was enough." A junior delegate found her voice. "Is this revenge?" The captain shook his head. "Revenge ends," he said. "This does not." The transmission ended abruptly. The human ship returned to silence. But the damage was done. Across the galaxy, reactions split civilizations apart. Some worlds opened their archives willingly, hoping for mercy. Others burned records in panic, destroying their own histories. A few prepared for war. Those were the most afraid. On a fortress world controlled by one of the oldest species, a council of war met in secret. Their leaders had ruled before humanity had language. "They are only human," one ancient voice said. "They bleed. They die." "Do they?" another asked quietly. They reviewed footage from Kairos again. Not the attack, but the restraint. "They could have erased the planet," the second voice continued. "They chose not to. That means they fear us," the first insisted. "No," came the reply. "It means they fear becoming us." The Fortress Council made its decision. They would strike. Not at the ship. At Earth. Across space, hidden weapons activated, relics from before treaties, designed to collapse stars and sterilize systems. The launch signatures were faint, masked by background radiation. They would have gone unnoticed. Except humanity had planned for that too. The human warship did not intercept the weapons. It ignored them. Instead, something else happened. On Earth, ancient structures buried beneath continents awakened. Not weapons, but guardians. Systems designed not to destroy threats, but to absorb them. The Fortress Council watched in disbelief as their doomsday strike vanished into nothingness, swallowed by controlled gravity fields that bent reality around the planet. Earth did not retaliate. The human warship transmitted one message, to the Fortress world alone. "We saw you. You failed." On the Fortress world, every system powered down. Their fleets froze in orbit. Their planetary shields collapsed. They were left exposed, but alive. The message continued. You are not punished. You are removed. Trade networks severed themselves. Navigation data no longer recognized the fortress world as valid space. Even star charts rewrote. The civilization was not destroyed. It was isolated, cut out of the galaxy like a tumor preserved for study. The council watched in horror. They didn't kill them, someone whispered. The historian answered, voice shaking. They made them irrelevant. The realization hit harder than any weapon. Humanity's greatest power was not force. It was finality. The captain appeared one last time, briefly. This is your warning, he said. We do not rule you. We protect what comes after you. He paused. Decide who you want to be remembered as. The transmission ended. The ship remained. And across the galaxy, civilizations faced a truth they could no longer escape. Humanity had not returned to take power. They had returned to decide who deserved a future. And Part 4 ended with a question no species wanted to answer. What happens when the judge has already learned mercy and chosen restraint anyway? The galaxy learned a new kind of fear. It was not the fear of invasion, not the fear of extinction. It was the fear of being seen clearly. After the isolation of the fortress world, the old balance collapsed. Empires that had ruled through secrecy found their power draining away as archives unlocked themselves. Treaties once enforced by threat now meant nothing. Populations demanded answers their leaders could no longer hide. And still, the human warship did not advance. It remained above the Galactic Council world, silent and unmoving, like a blade resting against the throat of history. Many believed this was the limit of humanity's action. Exposure, isolation, control. They were wrong. The next judgment was not aimed at a government. It was aimed at an idea. Deep in the Perseus Drift existed a nomadic power known as the Virex Dominion. They did not rule territory. They ruled fear. For millennia, they had sold protection, enforced obedience, and erased cultures quietly when payments failed. They had never signed council law. They had never been punished. They had never been challenged. When the human transmissions began, the Dominion laughed. Humans love symbols, their high speaker said. Truth, memory, witness. These are stories for weak species. The Dominion moved constantly, their cities mounted on planet-sized engines. No fixed home, no permanent archives. When evidence threatened them, they simply moved on. When their sensors detected a spatial distortion ahead, they assumed it was another frightened world. Then the stars went still. Their entire migration fleet, thousands of mobile cities, lost forward momentum at once. Engines screamed as control vanished. Artificial gravity stuttered. Millions were thrown to the ground as systems froze. Panic spread like fire. The human warship emerged at the center of the formation. It was smaller than the Dominion's largest city. That fact did not help. The high speaker ordered weapons fire. Nothing happened. The warship transmitted a message, short, unmistakable. You do not belong to time anymore. The Dominion's scientists panicked. What does that mean? They learned quickly. Around the warship, space folded inward, not collapsing, not tearing. It stacked. Layers of probability compressed into a single moment. The Dominion fleet did not explode. It stopped aging. Fusion reactors froze mid-cycle. Biological processes slowed to near zero. Thought itself stretched thin, like voices echoing across centuries. The high speaker screamed as his body locked in place, trapped between seconds. The human warship did not kill them. It removed them from the flow of existence. Across the galaxy, sensors registered the event and failed to interpret it. The Dominion fleet remained visible, motionless, glowing faintly, like insects caught in amber. A living monument. The warship transmitted again, broadcasting to every civilization at once. This is containment. This is permanence. On the council world, delegates stared in horror. They didn't destroy them, one whispered. They didn't isolate them. No, the strategist replied, voice hollow. They ended their ability to matter. A military commander slammed her fist on the table. This has gone too far. No species has the right to decide this. The historian turned slowly. They are not deciding, she said. They are enforcing. Enforcing what? The answer arrived without being asked. The human captain appeared again. His expression had not changed. You fear our weapon, he said calmly. You misunderstand it. He gestured, and the image shifted, showing countless species histories overlapping, crimes repeating under different names. This galaxy evolved power without accountability, the captain said. Predators learned to hide behind distance, time, and bureaucracy. He looked directly into the chamber. We removed those hiding places. A delegate shouted, "You are playing God." The captain shook his head. "No," he said. "We learned from them." Silence followed. The captain continued, "Our weapon is not force. It is inevitability. Once deployed, it cannot be evaded, bribed, or forgotten." Another delegate whispered, "How many of these weapons do you have?" The captain answered without hesitation. "One." Confusion rippled. "One ship?" the military commander asked. "One system," the captain corrected. "It is not repeatable. It does not scale. It does not obey us once activated." That frightened them more than an armada ever could. "You built something you cannot control?" an elder demanded. The captain's eyes hardened. "No," he said. "We built something that cannot be corrupted." The image shifted again. This time, it showed Earth, not its cities or defenses, but something beneath them. A vast structure encircling the planet, invisible unless viewed from multiple dimensions at once. A network bound to Earth's gravity, its oceans, its magnetic field. "Our final safeguard," the captain said. "If we fall, it continues." The implications settled like a death sentence. Humanity had not just prepared for war. They had prepared for extinction. "And if someone destroys Earth?" a delegate asked quietly. The captain answered simply, "Then judgment no longer needs us." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, reactions exploded. Some civilizations surrendered immediately, dissolving their militaries and opening every archive. Others fortified their worlds, hoping ancient defenses might still matter. A few, desperate and proud, chose defiance. One such world was Tarsal Prime. Tarsal Prime had never harmed humanity directly. That was their mistake. They believed neutrality would protect them. Their leaders watched the Dominion's fate and made a cold calculation. If humans decide relevance, their council concluded, then they are the greatest threat of all. They launched a single weapon, experimental, illegal, untested. A temporal destabilizer. It did not target Earth. It targeted the human warship itself. For the first time, the galaxy saw something new. The warship reacted. Space screamed as timelines clashed. Sensors overloaded. The ship's silhouette flickered, briefly splitting into countless versions of itself, some scarred, some broken, some burning. Then it stabilized. But the damage was real. Hull fractures appeared. Energy bled into space. The warship drifted, just slightly. On the council world, gasps filled the chamber. "They heard it," someone whispered. Hope, thin, dangerous, spread. The human captain appeared again. For the first time, there was emotion in his voice. Not fear, grief. "You should not have done that," he said. The ship did not fire. Instead, something else happened. The destabilizer's effect reversed. Not toward Tarsal Prime. Toward every system that had contributed to its creation. Labs across the galaxy collapsed into temporal knots. Scientists aged into dust or regressed into infancy. Research stations blinked out of existence as if they had never been built. Tarsal Prime watched in horror as their own history unraveled. Not destroyed. Corrected. Their civilization survived, but stripped of every technological advantage gained through secrecy and stolen knowledge. They were reduced to what they had been before they learned to exploit others. The captain's final words echoed everywhere. "We warned you," he said. "We do not miss." The warship fell silent again. But now, for the first time, the galaxy understood the full truth. Humanity's power was not absolute. It was selective. It did not wipe out life. It erased paths. And as the damaged but unbroken human warship hung above the council world, one realization spread across every star system. If humanity ever stopped holding the line, there would be no one left who could. The damage to the human warship changed everything. Not because it was weak, but because it proved something no one expected. Humanity could be hurt. For the first time since the ship arrived, hope and terror existed together. Across the galaxy, leaders watched the fractured hull feed replay again and again. The image of the ship flickering under the temporal attack became a symbol, twisted into propaganda, prayer, and warning all at once. Some saw a chance to resist. Others saw the edge of a cliff. On the Galactic Council world, Emergency assemblies ran without pause. Species that had never spoken honestly to each other now argued openly, stripped of ritual and pride. They are not gods, one delegate insisted. They bleed. They suffer damage. If we unite. And if we fail? Another interrupted. What then? No one answered. Because everyone had seen what happened to those who failed. The human warship remained silent during the debates. Repair structures unfolded across its hull, not frantic or rushed, but careful, deliberate, as if time itself was on its side, which, many suspected it was. A group calling itself the Continuance Coalition formed in secret. Ancient powers, militarized states, civilizations that had built their dominance on control and fear. Their belief was simple. If humanity remained the judge, the old order would die. Better to risk extinction than irrelevance. Their plan was desperate. They would not attack Earth. They would not attack the ship. They would attack each other. Across dozens of systems, long-contained wars ignited at once. Border conflicts flared into full invasions. Old enemies unleashed weapons they had hidden for millennia. The logic was cruel but calculated. Force humanity to choose. Intervene everywhere, or reveal limits. The galaxy burned. Refugee ships flooded space lanes. Civilian populations screamed for help. Entire biospheres collapsed under weapons meant to end wars quickly. Still, the human warship did not move. On the Council world, accusations flew. They are letting it happen. This is proof. They only care about their own justice. They are no better than us. At last, the human captain appeared again. This time, he was not alone. Behind him stood others, humans of different ages, backgrounds, and expressions. Scientists, soldiers, civilians, witnesses. You are testing us, the captain said quietly. We knew you would. A delegate shouted. Then stop it. You have the power. The captain nodded once. Yes, and that is why we must be careful. He gestured, and the chamber filled with new data. Every conflict, every casualty projection, every possible intervention. You believe power is the ability to act everywhere, he said. That is the thinking that broke this galaxy. The images shifted. They showed ancient empires collapsing under their own interventions. Wars prolonged by outside control. Species never allowed to face the consequences of their choices. We learned something in the dark, the captain continued. Saving everyone is another form of control. Outrage erupted. You are letting innocents die. The captain's voice did not rise. We are choosing not to become what you were, he said. Silence followed, heavy and furious. Then a human woman stepped forward. Older, scarred. Her eyes carried weight no technology could fake. My family died in one of your proxy wars, she said. Not because of hate, but because someone decided they knew better than the people living there. She looked directly at the chamber. We will not replace your tyrants with ourselves. A junior delegate whispered. Then what will you do? The captain answered. We will draw a line. The human warship moved. Not toward the warring systems. Toward the space between them. Reality folded as the ship deployed something new. Vast structures of light and gravity stretching across hyperspace routes. Corridors closed. Supply lines vanished. War fleets found themselves unable to reach targets. Reinforcements stalled in empty voids. The wars did not end. They starved. Within weeks, weapons ran dry. Armies stalled. Leaders were forced to talk, not because of fear, but because there was no other option. The galaxy realized what humanity had done. They had not chosen sides. They had chosen limits. The Continuance Coalition panicked. Their strategy had failed. In a final act of defiance, they activated something ancient and forbidden. A self-propagating annihilation wave, designed to spread endlessly, consuming systems one by one. If they could not rule the future, no one would. The weapon launched. This time, the human warship did not hesitate. It intercepted the wave directly. The impact was unlike anything before. The ship screamed, not audibly, but across dimensions. Hull sections collapsed inward. Repair systems overloaded. Energy bled into space like wounded light. On the Council world, sensors spiked. It's too much, someone shouted. They can't absorb it all. The human captain appeared one last time. The damage was clear now. The ship was dying. This is where we stop, he said calmly. A delegate cried out. You'll be destroyed. The captain nodded. Yes. Shock rippled through the chamber. You're sacrificing yourselves? "We are finishing the lesson," the captain replied. The ship moved, slowly, with effort, toward the heart of the annihilation wave. As it did, something extraordinary happened. Human guardian systems across the galaxy activated simultaneously. Not weapons, but shields. Fields of probability and gravity woven together by human design. The wave slowed, then stalled, then collapsed inward, consumed by the ship at its center. The cost was immense. The warship's structure fractured beyond repair. Internal systems failed one by one. The light within it dimmed. But the wave was gone. The galaxy was saved. The human ship drifted, broken and burning, above the Council world. For the first time, humanity had paid a visible price. The captain appeared, the image flickering. "Our work is not eternal," he said. "Neither are we." He looked at the chamber, not with judgment now, but with something like hope. "This line we hold. It will not last forever," he continued. "One day, you will have to hold it yourselves." The transmission wavered. "We remembered you," the captain said softly. "Now, you must remember what that cost." The image vanished. The human warship went dark. Not exploded, not erased, just still. Across the galaxy, the wars faded. Not out of fear, but exhaustion and understanding. Humanity had not conquered the stars. They had shown them the edge. And as rescue ships approached the silent warship, one question echoed across every world. What happens to the galaxy when the ones willing to sacrifice themselves for it are finally gone? The silence after the human warship went dark was heavier than any explosion. Above the Galactic Council world, the broken vessel drifted, scarred, cracked, and lifeless. No signals, no power surge, no final message, just a dead giant hanging in orbit. For a long moment, the galaxy did not breathe. Then panic returned, sharper than before. "They're gone," someone whispered in the council chamber. A military commander shook her head slowly. "No, they can't be. Not like this." But the sensors did not lie. The ship's internal light had faded. Its spatial anchors collapsed one by one. The structures that once bent reality unraveled, dissolving like mist. Humanity's line was breaking. Across the galaxy, systems felt it immediately. Hyperspace corridors reopened, unstable, uncontrolled. The limits humanity had imposed vanished. Fleets that had been frozen by scarcity suddenly found movement again. Old war plans reactivated automatically, relics of hatred waiting for an excuse. And some found it. On the frontier worlds, ancient predators stirred. Powers that had waited, silent and patient, now sensed opportunity. "The humans are finished," one warlord declared. "The age of restraint is over." Raids began within hours. Trade convoys vanished. Border colonies burned. Species that had relied on the human presence, not as rulers, but as balance, found themselves exposed. On Earth, alarms rang for the first time in decades. Deep beneath the planet's surface, human safeguard systems detected the warship's silence. The networks that had been built for extinction scenarios activated. Not weapons, messages. Across the galaxy, a final human broadcast began, not from the warship, but from Earth itself. It was not a threat. It was a record. The image showed the interior of the warship, not the command deck, but its heart. Rows of containment fields, memory vaults, and witness cores. A human voice spoke, not the captain's, but many voices layered together. "If you are seeing this, then the line has fallen." The broadcast spread everywhere, impossible to block. "We knew this moment might come. That is why we prepared you." Worlds watched in stunned silence as the recording continued. Images replayed. Kairos, the Dominion frozen in time, the wars starved into peace. Each event annotated, explained, not as propaganda, as instruction. "You believed we judged you," the voices said. "That was never true. We judged actions." The message shifted. "Now, there is no one left to stand between you and yourselves." On the council world, the delegates felt something unfamiliar. Responsibility. The broadcast showed something else, human losses. Entire fleets sacrificed to hold corridors closed. Scientists who had died stabilizing the final containment wave. Civilians who had accepted shortages and hardship so the galaxy could survive. Humanity had paid the price quietly. And now, the bill was due. A young delegate stood, shaking. "They didn't save us to rule us," she said. "They saved us to see if we could be better." No one argued. Outside, scavenger fleets approached the silent warship. Some sought to help, others sought to steal. They never reached it. As the first unauthorized ship crossed a boundary it did not know existed, the warship reacted, not with weapons, but with release. The hull split open. Light poured out. Not energy. Data. The warship was not dead. It was emptying itself. Every archive, every witness record, every judgment protocol burst outward, embedding itself into the fabric of galactic networks. The ship was becoming a memory, a universal one. Across thousands of worlds, systems updated themselves. Navigation charts gained new layers, ethical constraints written into spacetime math. Weapons systems gained locks they could not override. AIs awakened to new parameters: witness, record, preserve. The warship's final act was not defense. It was inheritance. The hull collapsed inward, folding into a singularity of light that faded gently into nothing. No explosion, no debris. The human warship was gone. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy truly stood alone. And it was terrified. The first test came quickly. A slaver fleet struck a defenseless agrarian world, confident that no human guardian would intervene. As their weapons powered up, every system on their ships shut down simultaneously. Not because of a human command, because the galaxy itself rejected them. Navigation data erased their coordinates. Trade networks cut access. Even neutral worlds refused docking, systems locking them out automatically. The slavers were stranded, alive, exposed. When local defense forces arrived, the slavers surrendered without a fight. Across the galaxy, similar events followed. Not instant peace, but consequence. Predators found themselves isolated. Aggressors found their supply lines vanish. Crimes could no longer hide behind distance or secrecy. The galaxy had become what humanity tried to teach it to be. Not perfect, accountable. On Earth, humanity mourned. They did not celebrate. The captain's name was spoken quietly, then added to a list already too long. The warship's loss was felt like the death of a guardian, not a weapon, but a promise. Yet Earth did not retreat. Humanity remained silent, watching, waiting. Years passed. Wars still happened, but they ended faster. Lies still spread, but they unraveled. Civilizations began to change, not because humans forced them to, but because the old ways no longer worked. Children across the stars learned a new story, not of human domination, but of human refusal. Refusal to forget. Refusal to become monsters. Refusal to rule through fear. On the Council world, a monument was raised where the warship once hung. It bore no image, only words, written in every known language. Here stood the line. It did not hold forever. It held long enough. And somewhere deep in space, far beyond known charts, a faint signal pulsed once, so quiet no one noticed. A reminder, or a warning, because humanity had never said the warship was the last, only that it was the first. And the galaxy, now wiser and afraid in a new way, understood the truth at last. Humanity did not save the stars by force. They saved them by teaching them how not to need saving again. The galaxy did not collapse without humanity's warship. That surprised everyone. For centuries, civilizations had leaned on power they did not understand, comforted by the belief that someone stronger stood ready to stop the worst outcomes. When the human vessel vanished, many expected chaos to rush in and fill the vacuum. Instead, something slower happened. The galaxy hesitated. Trade lanes reopened carefully. Military fleets moved, then stopped, then turned back. Old enemies tested borders with words instead of weapons. For the first time in recorded history, restraint spread not because of fear, but because no one knew where the next line would appear, or who would draw it. On the Galactic Council world, the chamber was quieter than it had ever been. Not silent, never silent, but thoughtful. Delegates spoke less. When they did, they chose words carefully, as if language itself might now be held accountable. The council still existed, but it was no longer an illusion of unity backed by hidden violence. It was fragile and honest. A new archive had become the most accessed system in known space, the human record. Not locked, not guarded, freely available. It contained everything humanity had released, every crime they uncovered, every judgment they made, every sacrifice they paid. No edits, no omissions. Civilizations studied it like scripture and warning combined. Some hated it, Some rejected it, but none could ignore it, because the galaxy itself now remembered. Years passed. On the frontier, a species once known only for conquest faced extinction, not by war, but by irrelevance. Their fleets were intact, their weapons untouched, yet no one traded with them. No one allied with them. Their intimidation meant nothing in a system that simply refused to engage. They adapted, or they vanished quietly. On another world, a young civilization stood on the brink of its first interstellar war. Their leaders watched old footage of humanity's warship absorbing annihilation meant for all. The war was canceled, not because of fear, because someone asked a question humanity had taught them to ask. Who pays the price after we win? On Earth, humanity rebuilt again. They did not erect monuments to the warship. They did not glorify the captain. They recorded. They remembered. Children were taught not that humanity was strong, but why strength had once been necessary. The final safeguard network remained active, woven into Earth's gravity and magnetic field, silent and watchful. Humanity knew better than to believe their work was done. They also knew better than to rush back into the galaxy as rulers. So they waited and watched. Decades later, something unexpected happened. A distress signal appeared, not from a major power, not from a known system, from a newly discovered region beyond mapped space. The signal was weak, fragmented, old, but the pattern was unmistakable. Human. On Earth, analysts froze as the data confirmed it. This isn't one of ours, a technician whispered. The design predates the warship. A colony ship, lost centuries ago. The one everyone assumed had been destroyed during the early disappearances. Humanity faced a choice. If they went, the galaxy would notice. If they intervened, the line might blur. The Council, now smaller but wiser, sent a message to Earth. Not a demand, a request. Will you help them? The delegate asked. Or will you judge us again? Earth's response was delayed. Then a simple answer arrived. We will not judge this time. We will come as humans. A single ship launched. Not a warship. A rescue vessel. No hidden weapons. No spatial anchors. No judgment systems. Just people. As it traveled, something remarkable happened. Other ships joined. Not human. Alien. Civilian craft. Medical ships. Explorers. Even former enemies. No one ordered it. They simply followed. The rescue fleet reached the lost colony system weeks later. What they found was worse than feared. The colony had survived, but at terrible cost. Generations trapped by radiation storms and failing technology. Their society fragile, fearful, and scarred by centuries of isolation. When the rescue ships arrived, the colonists panicked. They expected conquerors. What they received were medics, engineers, and translators. No demands. No claims. No lectures. Just help. The operation took months. Supplies were shared. Infrastructure rebuilt. Children evacuated first. Elders listened to stories of a galaxy that had changed. When the last colonist was safe, the question came. Why now? A colony leader asked. After all this time? A human responder answered simply. Because we finally learned the difference between power and presence. The story spread faster than any judgment ever had. Across the galaxy, something shifted. Humanity was no longer feared as an executioner. They were respected as a standard. Not perfect, but proven. The Council convened one final time on the old question. What is humanity's role now? The answer came not from Earth, but from the galaxy itself. A joint declaration was signed by hundreds of species. No empire, no enforcer, no supreme authority. Only a shared commitment, written into law and system design alike. No civilization may rise by erasing another. No power may hide its crimes in silence. No future may be built on forgotten graves. The declaration was named simply, the Line, in honor of those who held it first. On Earth, the declaration was archived, not celebrated. Humanity had never wanted worship, only remembrance. Years later, on a quiet night, a child on Earth looked up at the stars and asked a question that once ended an era. Why didn't anyone help them back then? An elder answered softly, because we didn't know how yet. The child frowned. Do we know how now? The elder smiled, tired but proud. We're learning, he said. So are they. Far from Earth, beyond known space, the faint signal pulsed again. Stronger this time. Not a warning, not a threat, a greeting. Because humanity had left the galaxy something far more dangerous than a weapon. They had left it a choice. And as the stars turned, as civilizations rose and fell more carefully than before, one truth remained clear across all of space. Humanity didn't save the galaxy by standing above it. They saved it by standing with it, until it learned how to stand on its own.